legislation act, notice this meeting was submitted by fax, the Spartanburg Herald Journal, posted on bulletin boards and lobby town hall, and on the town's website. No indication.
Dear Heavenly Father, we ask you to watch over us during this meeting. Give us the wisdom to make the proper choices for our town. We want to make this a better place to live. We want your wisdom, your support, and we want to please you. Be with us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, citizen comments right now. Jennings Camby.
I live at 231 Bruce Street. I don't know if any of y'all been watching TV or not. The History Channel, they have a documentary on there talking about sinkholes. Patrick and the Blackwell and the guy from Enchanted came up with what we were having going on up there on Fuller Street, Brewster Street. What it is, I showed Patrick 2 holes where the storm drain stopped up, and it's not doing it. It was causing the water to go underneath the ground and coming out in our backyard, and it's causing a pole. And Brian was talking about it, and then Patrick said that him and the guy from Enchanted, where they will split it. One of them's gonna do so much, and the other's gonna do, and the town's gonna do so much. And what my problem is, how long is it gonna take? We've been dealing with this for 4 years, and I think it's about time within the next 2 months that this should be took care of, instead of waiting 6 a year, nothing else. And to me, that's exactly what needs to be done. So I'm asking this council to work with Patrick on this and go ahead and get something done and get started on this. Because I don't want to see a sinkhole up there. Because there's a fire station out there beside us. And that fire station is right where this water's going. Also, not just our yard, it's going to the fire station too. So it needs to be something done within the next 2 months. And I thank Patrick, Mr. Blackwell, and the guy in Channing for coming up and looking at this Wednesday. And got Keith out there, and he also talked to him too. So this is what I said, it just needs to be addressed big time. And I appreciate y'all listening to them, and y'all have a good evening.
Tim Burrell.
My name is Tim Burrell, 1230 Cleveland Street here in your village. The reason I'm here for you today is we know, and you know, small towns are really under attack by builders. I just noticed the 2 new builds, up here within the village. In my opinion, those 2 houses squeezed together shouldn't ever happen. And my concern is with the vacant lots here and people that are buying lots to build houses, what are we going to allow them to do? Put 3 houses on a lot that only holds nothing? That's a big concern to me. Everybody don't want to live jammed, packed tight, neighbor right 2 foot away from me. I like a little space, and we used to have I guess a historical status here in our community, but somehow we lost that, and I think we lost some codes that people are not coming to the town of Pacolet. They go to Spartanburg and get their permits, or they bypass. I don't understand how these 2 houses got built when y'all didn't know nothing about it. What are we going to do, and how we'll control such building? I don't want to live jammed up on my next door neighbor. If somebody buys these vacant lots and builds houses like they're in subdivisions, that's a concern of mine. And I do appreciate that y'all listen to them, but we need to address something. Small towns are disappearing. If you look at Landrum, they're building in Landrum as we speak. Landrum will be no longer a small town. And they'll consume us too. I understand growth is, it's going to be, but overcrowded growth is just, it's not good. It's not good at all.
Thank you. Chantal Lemmonds.
I just wanted to take the time to say hello, introduce myself. I'm Chantal Lemmonds. Just give you a face with my name. I'm sure you all are familiar with the agreements I've had and things that are going on. I'm not here to reiterate that. But I have been watching and listening to the meetings, and you all are aware of the concerns that are coming in as far as buildings and things we're hearing about even tonight. So I have an intention to be part of your planning commission, if you all see it fit that I am on there. And something I would like to let you all know is that my intention there is to serve. I would like very much to have you all utilize me to help in this growth process. I'm glad to research things. I'm glad to write things and collect information in any way that I can so that we can move forward and find a way to balance this growth with bringing all of our stuff up to date, if that makes sense, to be in line with the protection of the small town, as well as having a direct department for that stuff and people to be able to have their questions answered through there. And I'm also going to ask you all to really consider appeals on the building code thing. Okay, so from what I'm seeing, it's at the discretion of the town and RCI. And I think that that is a little bit of a conflict of interest for the fact that both the town and RCI are profiting off of the fees and fines. And you don't want to be told that something's unfair. So if you have a board of appeals for that department, then they can bring that to somebody that doesn't have a vested interest in that kind of revenue that can give opinions outside of that. So I'm not sure if that's something in process, but I would really ask you all to consider that. That is a standard when you have a building code permitting and department. You typically have a board of appeals. So I just would ask for that. And like I said, again, I just wanted to say hello. Thank you.
Thank you. Need to approve the minutes of December 7th, 2024.
Make a motion to approve minutes for December 7th.
I'll have to reword that. December 7th of 2024 is not here.
2023, yeah.
Sorry. I make a motion we approve the December 7th, 2023 minutes.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. second to approve the minutes of December 7th, 2023. All in favor? All opposed? It moves, it needs a motion to approve the minutes of January 4th, 2023.
Motion, we approve January 4th, 2024 minutes.
Yes, sir.
2023.
Are we doing 2023 or 2024?
2023.
No,
There's a typo.
January 4th is 2024.
24, yeah.
And it's a typo in the minutes. My name is spelled incorrectly.
Okay.
Oh, January 4th.
On January 4th, 2024.
Which section was that?
The typo.
I'll motion that we approve them with the edit.
Yes, it should be starting from Walford, spelled W-F-F-O-R-D.
Any questions? Any second? Anybody have any problem with that?
No, I second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes as corrected of January 4th, 2024. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, January 16th, I need approval of minutes of January 16th, 2024.
Motion we approve January 16th, 2024 minutes. I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of January 16th, 2024. Any questions, any corrections?
The only thing I saw was the lack of the citizens' comments.
What was it?
Trying to be citizens' comments.
Five citizens comment on that.
I'll make a motion, we approve it with that edit.
That'll be all right. All right. Just break it to that. Okay?
Yeah,
Yeah.
get
Okay.
mine from me.
Okay.
You know,
What he's talking about is citizens' comment wasn't on the agenda, that council gave permission to do.
Right.
It wasn't on there.
Okay. All right. Motion made and seconded to approve those as corrected. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay, move on to the presentation from by RTI. Michael.
Good evening, City Mayor, Council. I requested to speak tonight considering the president of Enchanted Homes, Mr. Aaron Aho, spoke at the last meeting. He provided you with information that was not accurate and a bit skewed. Permit fees in Spartanburg versus permit fees in Akron. This council and the public deserves factual information. I've provided you with a few pieces of paper there. One is the actual permit from Spartanburg County, the one he spoke of, $327. And it also represents what he submitted as his construction valuation of $68,000. I may pause a moment. Anybody in the audience would like a copy? I made some extras. Anybody would like a copy? But anyway, I won't spend a lot of time going over that. If you guys will read that thoroughly, you will see a lot of differences. But what's real important is how yesterday actually came to fruition when we met with Mr. Aho. But I'll continue. The administrator and I met with him and the project manager yesterday and confronted him about the misinformation that was shared with this council and the public. I explained that I would be speaking with factual information to counter these false claims at tonight's meeting. He further stated that he was invited to this special called meeting the other evening in a premeditated attempt to bring to heel the inspection agency known as RCI and suppress inspections in this town. The enchanted representative made an assertive effort to be present and stand before you as a council to misinform and support this fictitious agenda. At yesterday's meeting with the president of Enchanted Homes, Mr. Aaron Aho, we had the most unexpected turn of events, an unusual encounter, a confession, if you will. He admitted his wrongful actions and delivered evidence to include names and forthcoming emails of those that colluded and conspired to professionally orchestrate and deliberately slander, defame, and unapologetically make a mockery of myself, my employees, and RCI as a whole, with reckless disregard for their damaging actions in an attempt to undermine the moral fiber and professional standards upheld by RCI. He stated he felt the wrongful weight of his actions due in part to his participation in this atrocity. He further stated that he knew better than to take part and allow them and those in positions of power to use him in such a degrading and nefarious way. In the presence of our administrator, Mr. Patrick Camby, he sincerely apologized to me and this town for the role he played. This may seem a bit odd with the understanding that I, myself, was the target of this atrocious conspiracy. I ask you to not condemn this man or the company he represents. I have an unbridled respect for a man that can admit wrong and make amends of his ways. I was told early in my career by those that appear prestigious and successful in the construction industry that I must learn to play the game and join the winning team. I asked, if we are winning, who is losing? The young family buying their first dream home, our children, our grandchildren. I don't define winning as winning when it involves taking advantage of others. I silently applaud those of you who have not wavered with the continued support of this building code program. I implore others to seek the facts and avoid the pitfalls of what only appears as right. We have always advocated for common ground between the designers, developers, builders, consumers, and end users. We cannot advocate or take part in anything that lends to inferior or substandard construction practices. We owe the public better, we owe this town better. We will always act in a professional manner in our execution in carrying out the duties of this office as the building official, and accept and defend against whatever form of torment, fabricated lies, and verbal bashings that may come by whomever talks or walks through these doors, as we are sworn as government servants to protect the public
in the built environment, and we will continue to bear this cross with honor. Can I ask any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, man.
Thank you, Council.
Full business. This is an ordinance for establishing the historic and architectural review board.
Yes, Council, at the last couple of meetings, we have been discussing the establishment of the Historic Architectural Review Board. One of the last meetings, it was discussed to bring Sauls, who's from the State Historic Preservation Office, who specializes in these local historic districts, to get some information directly from him, so we know the facts of what is to be considered. So Mr. Sauls is here, and is, I included in your packet what has been proposed in January, and then also he had me add some stuff in there. There's some Q&A in terms of what historic districts are and what they are not, as defined by the State Historic Preservation Office. But I'm going to invite Mr. Sauls to come up here so that y'all can ask him any questions you'd like as it relates to the historic district and the passage of the historic district guidelines for this town of Pacolet.
Thank you, and good evening. My name is Brad Sauls. I'm with the South Carolina Department of Archives and History and the State Historic Renovation Office. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. I'm happy to try to answer any questions I can. One of my job duties is to assist local governments with their historic renovation programs, in terms of their ordinance and other related things. If there's anything I can try to answer for you, I'm happy to try to do that.
I have a question for you. Have you ever heard of a board that dealt strictly with new construction versus one that reviewed existing homes?
I'm sure it varies from place to place. The ones that I'm familiar working with, commonly a Board of Architecture review or local historic review board would be reviewing projects going on with existing properties in designated areas, but can also review new construction within those areas for appropriateness within the overall historical place. I assume it's not uncommon for local boards to be reviewing both work on existing projects and new construction, or existing properties and new construction in those designated historic areas.
So it's, in your opinion, it's fairly unheard of that they would make that designation that they're just going to review newly constructed homes. Is it possible? What would be the pitfalls if we went that route?
I think a board local government can set up any kind of board they want to under the appropriate state enabling legislation. I deal particularly with the state enabling legislation that deals with generically a Board of Architecture review. Charleston calls it, other places call it other things, Design Development Review Committee, Historic Landmarks Commission. There's different names, but generically that would be the Board of Architecture review, and what they're dealing with is proposals for work that are within their designated historic areas for individual designated landmarks. I know there are boards that also appropriately review infill construction within their designated historic areas, but not necessarily reviewing exclusively one type of project or the other.
So my concern is that we do this in phases. My concern is that Pacolet's not quite ready to start dictating what people do with their existing homes. I think we could get there. I wouldn't oppose having enforceable guidelines for infill or new construction. So to follow up, have you ever seen a board that was strictly advisory, that was set up by ordinance, and actually had manned, personnel that didn't have powers to enforce their.
I don't know of any particular specific example of a board that is set up under the state and legislation for board of architecture review. I don't know anywhere it's strictly advisory, strictly voluntary. The local ordinances can vary, and we're not advised on every ordinance in the state that's adopted. I know about the ones that are within our certified local government program and others outside of that as well that are dealing specifically with the engineering for board of architecture review. But there are, I think there are communities that have, they may be set up under different enabling legislation, but that deal in designated zones, may deal with commercial, new construction in a commercial zone, or dealing with signage, or dealing with new construction in designated areas, and they may have a design review board that's not strictly speaking under the Board of Architecture Review state and legislation. But again, I think it varies, just a lot of community what they decide to put in place.
So, in your opinion, you've looked at this proposed ordinance, right?
I did see this this evening.
In your opinion, with references to South Carolina Code, Chapter 29, Title 6, this would not be an advisory order. Is that?
It looks like this.
They would have all the powers to enforce guidelines.
It's once you put in your ordinance, the state enabling legislation is, South Carolina's state enabling legislation is pretty short and sweet compared to some other states. And North Carolina's probably runs off several pages, and South Carolina's is a couple paragraphs. It basically says, this is a thing you can do, carry on if you decide to do it. It doesn't really get much more prescriptive. I mean, the state enabling legislation does say that, let's see, by means of specific provision for the preservation and protection of historic and architecturally valuable districts and neighborhoods, by means of restriction and conditions governing the right to erect, demolish, remove, and whole or in part or alter the exterior appearance of all buildings or structures within the areas. So that's from the state enabling legislation that says local governments can, if they want to, create a board that does those things. If they choose to do that. Of course, every community is a little bit different in terms of what's their priorities for what they want the board to review. And then they have very broad design guidelines, others may have more specific guidelines depending on what kind of process they've gone through with public input and public information about what is community priority, what do we want to do, what do we want to accomplish with this.
Right, so I guess my question was, as this sits now, as we've written this, referencing state law and all the power given by that state law, this would give us powers that were enforceable and binding the way it's written now. This is not, the way it's written is not an advisory board, I guess is my question, in your opinion. Is that?
I mean, it seems to be, but also at least this, what I'm seeing, this draft that's in your packet tonight, it doesn't have all the things that I typically see. Like we have a sample ordinance that we post that's for information, and there are some other sort of common things we would expect to see in a local BAR type ordinance that deals with processes for how the board runs meetings, how they're supposed to, how they deal with applications, what their designation process, what the review process is, what the appeals process is, if they have a hardship clause or not, how to deal with appeals to decisions, if they're going to be staff review on something, board review on something. So there's a lot more, potentially more sections you could have in here, I think, to have a more complete, sort of typical best practices kind of preservation order. I think there's some things you could add to it, but there's some, at minimum, there's things missing about designation process and appeals process, but one of the things that I think could be added. This draft order looks like it's a good start. I think there's some other things you could add in there to be more complete.
How does infill, the the change of the structure and the change of the square footage of homes, you know, that kind of deal, that's altering the historic, how does that change the historic district? Does it impair the district, and over time, does it, you know, does it hurt the district? How is that viewed?
Well, first, we're potentially dealing with two types of historic districts that can overlap on the same place on the map. I know that Pacolet has individual properties that are listed in the National Register of Historic Places, and there's a district that's listed in the National Register. I think it's primarily the village housing historically. So that designation in and of itself is an honorific designation. Primarily, it incentivizes preservation. It doesn't limit what property owners do. Their property doesn't put any regulation or restriction on them. It's honorific and incentivizes preservation. We have tax credit programs that are associated with that status, potentially the owners could opt in to use. So now with districts or even individually listed properties in the National Register, we don't have the ability to police all 1,500 listings in South Carolina at all times, but it is possible for a district or a property to sort of lose its integrity over time by way of changes or alterations or demolition. There's no magic formula for, particularly like in a district, if you have demolitions, if you lose properties over time. One house being gone is not going to affect the listing status of it. 2 or 3 more is not going to affect it, but over time, if eventually you lose a lot of those historic houses and they're either just vacant lots or new things come in to replace them, you could potentially slowly erode the status of that district, but we don't have the ability, it's not a priority for us to go in and actively police all the listings in the state, but if we had a reason to review something programmatically, it could potentially get to the point where we're looking at this district for a grant project or tax incentive or something. It looks like it's 3/4 of it is gone. It may not be eligible for listing anymore. And we could potentially, and we do remove things from the register, but that's pretty far down the priority list for us, and we would just have removals from the register when the property's no longer there. Just burn down, because again, that listing status doesn't require preservation. But it is a local preservation ordinance that can have the ability to have more sort of protective coverage for historic properties, whereas the National Register is honorific and incentivizes preservation. A local ordinance can do a bit more to have teeth, so to speak, in order to try to require preservation to a certain extent based on the exteriors of the designated properties.
You said that the ordinance that we had here, we probably need to add a few things to complete.
I would recommend it. Again, we've got a sample ordinance that we can use, and we can provide examples from other communities as well. And there's no one correct ordinance. We can provide a sample one as sort of a starting point. But there are some basic things that if we're looking at ordinances that we can kind of we can provide you with sort of what would be our checklist for a good preservation ordinance, the things to have in it. And sample wording, I'm happy to provide that to you as a guide for if you want what you want to add to it. There are some things in there that would be good to have, particularly as addressing due process issues as far as appeals and what your process is for reviewing applications, doing designations, that sort of thing.
I think that'd be helpful. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, we'd like to agree.
Yes, questions?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do we need a motion to move on and table this until further review?
I think we just consider it, we're not, we'll have a meeting on it and everything, we just consider it. Okay, thank you.
Consider two appointments on the Planning Commission. Since the last time we discussed this, or council discussed this, at that time, there were two positions at, one who had not responded to us at all in terms of their intent to stay or go. At that time, I'll say the person's name, Kim Easler, at the time that we had originally spoken, had requested to resign. She has come back and stated that she would like to stay on the Planning Commission board and has taken the training. And so she is ready, and she would like to be reappointed back onto the Planning Commission board if you'll have her there. The other position on there is Mr. Brady, who has not responded to any of our comments or requests to take the training class on air. So council would have to remove the individual and then vote for a new person to be on that, on board there.
Okay, who's the first person?
Kim Easler, she sent me a message and asked to resign. She since then has changed her mind. She has some stuff going on with her family, and has since then that has rectified, or she'd like to be involved, and so she can devote the time to it. And she asked about taking the training, and I suggested if you're really interested in staying on, you might want to go ahead and take the training, and she did. So she's fully ready to be on there. She has taken the training.
She had a death in the family right around Christmas, so it was a pretty rough time for her.
For Planning Commission, it will be a nomination and vote. For Board of Zoning Appeals, it is just nomination.
We want to consider Kim Easler then. Anybody have any objection? Anybody?
You appoint her.
Yeah, sure.
Are you good with keeping her on there, or if you had to ask anybody different?
No, I have, but I don't have to get with those individuals.
You said you've got someone else who's interested in being on it?
I have asked a couple of people who really have not gotten back to me, and I didn't know if there's where a deadline was, or if there is a deadline.
At the time, the last time I spoke to you, Ms. Easler and Mr. Frey is technically still on there, although it's required that he takes training within a year of being on the board. Mr. Frey has not, and has not reached out and responded to us saying that he intends on taking the training on there. But Ms. Easler is in, I think originally was nominated from your district on there. But like we mentioned before, you don't have to go by district. It is not a requirement. That's just something that y'all have been doing in the past, but there's nothing in the zoning ordinance that requires each one person from each of the districts.
I understand that, but Mayor, it's last meeting that we would keep it as in the district as it has been, even though it's not required.
Yeah, that's fine.
You did state.
You currently have, I believe you may have another person, because I think Mr. Don Kennedy lives at 130 Elizabeth Street, which I think is also in your district.
Yeah.
Well, can I come back with you? Because
That's up to council.
How long, I mean, what, I mean,
The only thing is if the longer you go, so for instance, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that actually attend on there, or 5 people that are actually on the board, so you'll actually have to have 4 of the 5 attend every single time to make sure that you've got a quorum on there.
I wasn't aware of this till tonight, so it's short notice for me, was not aware.
This was actually from last month's agenda.
But the packet that you sent out, I think her name was not on it.
Right, her name was not on it at the time, and she has come back, and she, as of right now, because of the fact that she did resign, she is off the board.
You know what I'm saying, I didn't know she was.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying, it's news to me, I did not know she was coming back.
Sure.
So I need the opportunity to speak with the people I've already spoken to.
Sure.
in all fairness.
There's the other member, Mr. Frady, has not responded to us.
Yeah, I have one to do, so I'll make a motion to remove him from the plan.
Okay.
All right, he's the one who said.
That's fine with Ms. Easler, it's just that I've run it with the other people I've already spoken with.
Sure. There was a motion on the
We have a
floor.
motion and a second, move Mr. Frazier.
I second the motion.
What we already.
Oh, you did, I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Any questions on that? All in favor? Okay, we did that.
So then you'll have another position to put on there, if you want to have a representative from District 1. One other thing that I wanted to bring up and let y'all know about, on our website, there's a section on there where people can request to be on boards. And we have, and I don't know where these people live, but Scott DeLorme was interested in being on both the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals. And Matthew Williams was interested in being on the Planning Commission. I do not know where they live, or if they live in the town of Pacolet. I just know that they expressed interest on our website they'd like to be on.
So they expressed interest on the website, and, when did they express interest? How long?
It's been a while, it's on there, because the board's been full, and so there was no interest or no reason to have them on there. But I can,
Do we as council members get updates from requests or comments or anything of that sort?
I can give that to you if y'all would like that, every time someone comes through.
You know, if somebody's requesting to be on the board, we appoint them, I would like that information.
Sure.
Okay, the planning, commission here, we need to have that full, because we have meetings on this, and when the planning commission is supposed to come back to us by when?
Well, the planning commission is important right now only because you're in the process of the comp plan.
Right.
And when, before council approves comp plan, the planning commission has to review it. Also, and I will just remind you, nothing, you know, Ms. Easler had been appointed to the steering committee board for the plan packet. So if she is not on there and someone else gets replaced, then we'll have to find somebody else from the planning commission to replace her on the plan packet steering committee.
Do you have a nomination in mind, Mr. Ray, that we can vote on? Just get-
Yeah, I was gonna nominate Chantal Lemmonds if she's still interested.
Yes, sir.
I'll second that. Let's get this filled.
Go ahead and put it, Phil, so we go ahead and move on.
Because we got, when's our master plans? I mean, a month or two?
We're gonna see how the next steering committee meeting goes in February 22nd. I don't know,
I mean, Ms. Sexton, it's totally up to you, but like, I'd love to have the boards filled.
I would like to have the opportunity to speak with the other two people I've spoken to this week.
Do you have it back to the next meeting?
Yes.
All right, motion made second to, appoint, Ms. Chantal Lemmonds. Any questions, any comments? All in favor? Also, okay.
the next time
I
we'll
want to point something out real quick. The last steering committee meeting we had, there was 4 of the planning commission members supposed to be at the meeting. There must be an agenda because that would constitute a quorum. That would be a board, and so 4 members actually showed for that. You would need to have some agenda notifying the public that 4 members of that committee were reported to be there. Just keep that in mind.
Sure.
Okay. Zoning appeals.
The Board of Zoning Appeals, there's one individual who has not taken the training, and it's been more than a year. I've reached out to this individual, twice, and this person has not responded back to me saying that they intend on taking the training or not. So I don't know what to do at this point. The problem with the Board of Zoning Appeals, technically, according to your zoning ordinance, the appointing governing body may remove a member for cause by majority vote of the town council upon written charges and after public hearing. So you would have to have written charges of why you're removing the person from that board. and then have a public hearing before you can actually vote to remove that person from the Board of Zoning Appeals. Unless, or if they just resigned, then that's it. Their expiration in terms of term would be at the end of this year, 2024.
I'd rather not remove anyone. You know, I'd like to keep them on if they want to continue. Maybe give me tonight. So, unless you want to let us know your intentions, Mr. Wizard. Do you want to continue or?
I'll continue. I'll continue. I appreciate that. It's not appropriate right now.
We don't call out people in public, it's not appropriate.
Yeah.
How do you want to do it?
I think you should talk to the individual that you nominated, find out what their intentions are, and if they come to you and explain to you that they want to resign, then you can bring it back to the council. Have it on the agenda for a public hearing ahead of time, and vote to remove this person, and then you probably put somebody on afterwards.
I've reached out to this individual multiple times. I've had dialogue in terms of conversation by email, and then when it comes to, are you intending to stay on and complete the training, it's silence.
That, I understand, but we didn't have a public hearing about this tonight.
No, you can't vote on it. I just need to know if that's the intent, and if it
Yes,
is.
we're still doing, what I'm saying is we already know the process, let's just move on. And if that individual wants to be off of that appeals board, then we know to put a public hearing on the next agenda, and we'll know what to do.
Council will have to bring formal charges,
It seems like that may not.
and I need to know if that is the intent, so if we need to go through that process or not. And how long are we going to give the individual to actually take the classes, or we're going to move on?
Let's, I think we might be able to handle this by next.
Okay.
Okay. Said you had some work, okay, going on the D. Additional work on the backup sanitation group.
Yes, after the group, or after the company, Carolina Intl Trucks, did some further work on the truck as is, they have found some additional things. It's the last 4 items on their quote that need to be fixed. Otherwise, we will not pass DOT inspections. So y'all had approved prior that I believe it was around $17,000 on there, or $18,000, and now the total cost. And the final cost from Carolina Intl Trucks will be $21,348 to complete. One other thing I want to make sure that you are aware, there are 2 tires that need to be replaced. And we're going to have that done by Snyder as soon as this is done. But I need approval for y'all to increase the amount from 4 to, if y'all want to approve the $21,000 to fix the back truck.
Make a motion, we approve the additional work for the backup sanitation.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve that, final opinion, any questions? All in favor? All opposed?
I've included the proposed plans for town hall improvement. I need an approval from the council that y'all would like to move forward with these plans. I'm currently working on the RFP and the specifications. And as soon as I have that, I will email that to you if you have any questions on there, and then it'll go out to bid. My goal is to have it out to bid before the next council meeting. So that the following council meeting, you can approve bids to do work on the buildings.
You want to highlight the improvement, what we changed from last time?
What's been changed from last time is the box in the corner did have a desk in there, or an area for the assistant town clerk / clerk report. That's been removed. Another thing that's been added on there, it was something that was already in the plans, but it was really kind of spelled out. And that's at where the wall that's going to go right in front of the safe, and the hallway, there's going to be a glass reception area with a pass-through underneath. There'll be a desk there, and there'll be an outlet and hookup so that we can have a computer at that location, so when people come in, we'll have both wall tracks and we'll have Union Gas, Lockhart Power, people can pay everything right there and not have to go back to the back.
So we widened the, stage there.
You widen the stage so that you've got more space up there. You've got an entry on this front left corner, and then to cover the, if you look at the back on there, we actually did add a riser on there for a future handicap lift on there. Never thought we'd have to use it, but we did last year. So it would be something worthwhile there for us to have. So in that back corner, coming up on the stage, if there's any council member that does need to have wheelchair access, that will be added on.
Do you have, I've been trying to read, it's very difficult with the font they use, but I want to make sure that there's plenty of audio, video,
Yes.
security systems, and all of that stuff is going to be included in this as a whole.
So the way I'm gonna set it up is I'm gonna have it as a two-part bid, and so one is the construction, and then the other part will be the AV on there. And so that we have enough cameras so that you can live stream council meetings, and have both the person that is speaking as well as council on there. And the audio will be 100 times better than what it currently is. We'll have a mixing board to be able to adjust that. And you'll be able to see who is actually speaking at different locations. TVs so the public can see what's going on. Your tablets or your iPads will be set up so that if I've got a presentation on my Surface Pro that you can all see what's going on, as well as the screens that are out there. One thing that I thought about changing, but I'll leave it in there for now, is instead of having the smart boards or boards up on these walls back here, one idea I'd like y'all to consider is to do a mobile smart board that we could plug in at different locations, but so once the public is sitting here, that I could roll a TV screen right up to where they are and they can see exactly what's going on. And then if I need to, I can take that back to my office, so if they're in an executive session or presentation by a developer, it can be used back there as well.
So you considered looking at the staircase as part of this?
I have not included that in terms of making it correct.
Yeah.
I had not included that on there. I was planning on just putting in a sign that says employees only and just keep it closed off. Because I realized that if we end up trying to make that work, I think we're gonna have to extend that landing back into that bathroom, which will then cause some more problems with trying to carry what we do over here.
These two plans, you said you're breaking it up into two plans, they'll both be done before construction starts, right?
Yeah, before the next meeting, and so in terms of, you've got the construction plan on here, and in terms of the bid, it won't be another plan, it'll just be more description in terms, most people who are gonna bid this project, you're gonna have contractors who are gonna bid this who are like craftsmen, and then you're gonna have a different group of people who are audio visual,
Right, but we're not gonna construct it and then have audio.
no, it'll be done simultaneously.
You just need approval for RFP.
I need the approval for the design.
So we can get an accurate.
I'm good with it.
I make a motion.
Anybody?
Yeah,
Right,
I'm
you're right.
good with it. I'll make a motion. We approve it.
Motion made, approved, approved. Motion made and seconded. Any other questions?
One other thing I wanted you to be aware of, so it's not a surprise or it's not a shock. If you look at the front door on there, it will now swing out and not in. And that is for code.
Will they be trying to reuse what's the original or?
The way you use, that's what we're gonna try to do is use the original, but just the hinges will be set up in such a way that it goes out instead of in.
Will you have to correct the step going out the door? Will that have to be corrected too?
Both of those would be, you have to correct those two, would you?
Yeah, so we're-
Show them both of them being corrected, both of those.
Yes, that door will have to be done as well, but this will be your ADA. And we may have to set it up in such a way that it stays unlocked throughout normal hours. Down the road, we may want to put one of those buttons in there that when you press it, automatically opens up. I was told Greer just recently had a situation where they put in town hall and there was a ADA acceptable door and it was locked. And then it go in for a while.
Okay, motion made and seconded, accept these as drawings. Any other questions? All in favor? All opposed? You need a motion for RFP.
No, I don't need a motion for the RFP. I need the plans approved by y'all, and then at that point, I'll do the RFP, and I will work with RCI in terms of specifications to make sure that everything will be the way it should be, and then I'll send that out to all of you. If you've got any comments on there, please respond those back to me, and I'll make those comments before I send it out. But I want to get it out as soon as possible so we can start working on this. And like I mentioned before, this is going to be paid for by the earmark that was given by Senator Dennis Moss.
Okay.
I'm Representative Dennis Moss.
Yeah.
I'm just a promoter.
Okay. Moving on, new business. Discussion regarding the sanitation trash pickup.
If y'all are okay with this, I'd like to read this memo out loud. Is that okay? The town of Pacolet currently services approximately 1,100 residential trash carts throughout the town of Pacolet, and those residents, property owners, pay a $45 annual sanitation fee. This also includes several churches who do not pay the $45 annual sanitation fee. This town currently does all of this with 2 employees, one of which requires a CDL Class B license to operate the truck, and 1 trash truck. The current schedule for pickup is for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Friday has been reserved for residential limb pickup and chipping for those that have placed their limbs, not leaves, on the side of the road based on the limb collection regulations approved by council in November of 2022. The current budget for sanitation department for FY24 is $162,951, which does not include the most recent charge of $11,700 to a contractor for yard waste pickup of approximately 120 residents. Spartan Waste gave a presentation at the December 2023 council meeting and mentioned that they could provide sanitation services in Pacolet for approximately $170,000, and to include yard waste would be approximately $180,000. These numbers were said verbally as approximate costs for their services in Pacolet. The town of Pacolet is a not-for-profit company. The town of Pacolet is not a for-profit company like Spartan Waste, so the town should be able to provide the same service at a lower price than a for-profit business. If the town's costs rise above the cost of a for-profit business, then the town of Pacolet should seriously consider subcontracting sanitation services. A private for-profit company like Spartan Waste currently has several advantages over the town of Pacolet, including 1, multiple trucks, 2, multiple employees with CDL Class B driver's license, and 3, the absence of a lid closed policy. With multiple trucks, trash service can still be provided when one is out of service for repairs and maintenance. As of now, the town of Pacolet does not have a functioning backup truck, but is in the process of services repairs to have one. Also, there are times when the truck is full and unable to accommodate additional trash, which then requires a trip to the landfill. An additional truck would enable the crew to continue working to complete the route and then dump both trucks at a more convenient time. As of now, if the driver with a CDL Class B license is sick, on vacation, quits, or is removed from work, the sanitation service stops and no carts are empty. The town must have a backup position to cover the driver of the truck should any of the above instances occur. However, it should also not increase the total cost of the sanitation budget so that it no longer is cost effective and cheaper than a for-profit business. Currently, the town of Pacolet has a policy that if the cart lid is up and not fully closed, that the employees should not empty it. This is a policy that private for-profit sanitation companies do not have. I know this because Spartan Waste picks up my trash at my personal residence in Spartanburg County, and there have been several times in the past 18 months that my cart's lid was not closed, a trash bag on top of the cart, bags on the ground beside the cart, or random items like a desk swivel chair outside the cart that were all picked up by Spartan Waste, by the Spartan Waste driver. Spartan Waste will say that if this becomes a regular occurrence, then the customer will be forced to purchase an additional cart. It has been brought to my attention that part of the reason that there is this policy that trash cart is not emptied when the lid is not fully closed is due to the language that was in the grant of the funds used to purchase the carts. The carts were purchased through the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA. And at the time of purchase, there were 4 rules that governed how the funds could be used. One of these rules was interpreted to mean that trash pickup had to be completely touch-free. Later, the final rule was added that allowed for recipients to use funds for all government services, so this no-touch policy is no longer a requirement of the funds. That being said, I would still prefer that our sanitation employee only dumps trash that is in the cart and nothing more. There are safety concerns with employees picking up bags that could contain sharp items. It should be a policy that if the bag trash is in the cart, it should be dumped. If trash bags are on top or beside the cart, it is at the discretion of the sanitation employee to dispose of the cart, as it could be a safety issue at that point. The following recommendations should streamline the current sanitation service for the benefit of the residential customer in the town of Pacolet. 1, the backup truck needs to be repaired and maintained so that there are 2 trucks available for use should one of them break down or become full during a day's route. 2, a public works department should be created for landscaping and additional beautification work of the town with at least 1 employee that has a CDL Class B license so that they can fill in for the sanitation truck driver when they are not available. This will provide a backup employee for sanitation without increasing the budget above the approximate cost of a for-profit business. 3, council should relax the lid policy for trash pickup so that more carts are serviced and town hall receives less complaints. Spartan Waste does not have this policy, and the lack of this policy results in several complaints to town hall on a regular basis. However, if a resident is regularly overfilling their cart, they should be forced to purchase another can or reduce the amount of garbage that is put in the cart. 4, to eliminate the need for a yearly yard waste pickup by a hired contractor, which costs the town $11,700 this fiscal year, sanitation service should be reduced to only 3 days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, so that both Thursday and Friday can be used for limb pickup. With heavy rain, delays, and holidays, there are many weeks in which yard waste is not picked up, which increases the need for an annual townwide pickup. This should be eliminated with regularly having 2 days each week dedicated to residential curbside limb pickup.
Thank you. Is anyone opposed to loosening the standard on the lid this year?
I just want to make a comment about that. In the December 7th, 2023 meeting minute notes presentation by Spartan Waste, it says that in their presentation, it says the cost would be about $168,000 for garbage pickup and $185,000 for yard waste and garbage, opposed to what you just read that said it would be approximately $180,000. Also, the next page at the top where it says that currently Spartan Waste currently has several advantages over the town of Pacolet, including number 3 was the absence of a lid closed policy. Meeting minutes on December 7, 2023. Mr. Kay asked about picking up if the lid is not shut. Mr. Nelson said they pick up if the lid is not shut, but they will contact the homeowner if it's continuous 4 weeks and advise them to add a another can, opposed to what you just said.
That's exactly what I just said.
Well, you said they should be forced to
Or-
purchase another can or reduce the amount of garbage that is put in the cart.
So what Spartan Waste does is,
So, and what you didn't say was that they'll ask them to purchase another one. This didn't say if the residents overflowing, it says they would be forced as opposed to Spartanburg West asking them to purchase one. And then what is the purchase price of another can? And then also too, have we not invited and asked other waste management companies as well instead of just one?
the reason that they came out here was because they asked to do a presentation. That was not the bidding.
They were not invited, what they invited?
They've been asking to come out for a long time.
Were they invited?
No, I don't think they were invited, no.
So, no council member invited them?
They've been wanting to come on here and when, but the thing is anybody can ask to be on here, but the thing is the council would be the one to allow them to do
Council
it.
hadn't discussed anything about it, so. it's
Well,
just-
that doesn't have, that doesn't matter here with this case. What he's saying is, he's giving you, examples of what it could cost. It's not what it is gonna cost. It's gonna be, he's comparing it to what we can do and in-house.
I understand that, and what I did is what their meeting minutes said, to what was in his report, is slightly different, and also I asked.
What was slightly different?
Other waste management companies asked to come out and give a presentation as well.
Why would we need that? Why would we need that if we're gonna do it in-house ourselves?
Why don't well, if we ask for someone else, if they want, if, as far as I know, I don't know that we discussed as a council to have a private sanitation.
That's what
Well, he's not prepared, he's not,
Well,
saying that now.
That's not what I'm advocating.
But we're discussing regarding sanitation and trash pickup.
I know, but we're not asking him to have a private one. He's talking about having, one on our own. I mean, our
To
own.
keep what we currently have.
Leave what we have.
We invited them in just for information. Now we have information to compare whether it makes sense to do it in-house. They just
Well, we
came.
had already done that a couple of years ago. We had went through the whole scenario, the whole thing,
Well,
cost, everything. And that's why I didn't even know that we were even thinking about doing this again. We just went through it 2 years ago with Miss Allen. And you were here,
yeah.
so we went through the whole thing of privatizing, the cost and this and that and the other, and having the other outside.
Well, we're not discussing having an outside one now. We just using their figure is what it would cost us to do it compared to what we can do it in-house. We're gonna do it in-house, but this is what, this is what he's suggesting.
But I don't understand why we even went outside anyway.
Well,
We get a lot of complaints about trash, like we need to constantly be improving our sanitation issues. We've had issues. We explored a private company. Now we're talking about how we can improve it in-house.
Well, I understand that, but that was never a discussion among the council about going outside and seeing what we were
Doesn't have to
charging.
be.
Exactly. It never was. It never was.
No, were they not invited is what I'm asking.
No.
You're saying they asked to be here, and I understood that they were invited.
From the time I got here, I have been asked by multiple companies to come and do third-party trash pickup in the town of
So
Pacolet.
they were never visited or asked by a council member to come and give a presentation?
I said I would like to hear it. So it wasn't so much an invite, it was let's allow them to come give the presentation. I want to hear it. Which anyone can do. You can do that if you want another company.
I
You could.
understand, but I just wanted to be, I'm just trying to understand how it came about.
It doesn't matter.
yeah,
It's a moot point now.
I think what Teresa's getting at is that she's a detailed person. I don't think she has an issue with what happened. I think the detail that she's looking for is how did this come about? The council didn't really ever talk about this amongst ourselves and ask you to facilitate this. I think that's where she's going with it. no more than that itself, you know. She probably, the concern is that we are supposed to communicate amongst ourselves and ask you to do something for us. And that, it seemed like Spartanburg Waste was asked to come here. Mr. Williams said that he asked him to come at a council meeting, and I think that's what she's remembering. Either way.
So they have been asking me for a long time. They've been asking.
There's 3 of you guys already, so let's just move on.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have an issue, changing our policy.
I don't have no issue if the lid's ready to crack. The lid won't close completely. I don't really have an issue with that. You know, when people start piling their trash on top of the can, then I have an issue with that. Next thing you know, it's on the ground. Next thing you know, we've got trash everywhere. If you've got the top bags won't allow the lid to completely close, I don't have no issue with that. And if you want to leave it at the discretion of the trash pickup employees, I have no issue with that either. But when it comes to piling it, I can put 200 down on top of it. We don't need that.
I think the best approach would be, get the council a copy of the information the sanitation guys use in regards of what cans they are picking up. There was a list of rules that we gave them. I think all council members should have that list. We should probably talk about it amongst, you know, at the next council meeting, but maybe within the next couple of 3 days, you can just shoot us an email that has all of those things. And
So-
we can decide, you know, where to go with that. If the lids can stay open halfway, or, I think that should be the discretion of the sanitation guys, whatever they feel is health and safety. You know, that should be fine. But right now, the rules that we gave them, the paperwork that they operate off of says closed lid.
Yeah.
And they don't waiver for that.
Did we vote on that?
The thing with that too is like, even if it's open somewhat, you know, with, you know, your raccoons and your dogs and everything else can get up in there very easily and get into the trash and spill it out. It happened to my next door neighbor.
Before we changed the lid policy, that was the complaints that we got a lot, was animals getting in, my neighbor's animals got in my trash again, and, you know, things like that. And so it's a different set of complaints each time we change the rules. I guess it's pick your poison, and, you know, if we're gonna relax the lid policy, then we're gonna have some different complaints.
Well, that doesn't mean people can't keep their lid closed. It's, if they choose to pile up their trash, then an animal can get in. If they're worried about that, then they can do less, so.
The issue that I get on a very regular basis is your constituents call me complaining, saying that I am now telling them that they have to keep trash inside their house or in their garage because it's more than what the can have. And they don't like that answer in terms of, I'm gonna have my trash now stay and stink up my house for another week because your guys can't pick up the trash because it's open 3 inches or 4 inches.
I would like for you, whenever you get a phone call or a complaint or something, I would like for you to forward that to the respective council person. If you don't mind. I mean, if somebody in my district is complaining, let me know. You know, I would love to see the complaints. I haven't seen a complaint yet. I mean, we're not provided with any of that information. You get to hear it. I think maybe Tony gets to hear it, but I would like to see it.
Well, what I do is like, we all had trash cans before we have the standard trash can that we have now for the town of Pacolet.
Right.
And if I have an overflow of trash, I put it in that trash can until the next time around.
That's good, and you, some of them don't have that to do with.
Well, do they throw it away or something?
I don't know.
Chug it, or-
Maybe.
It is the #1 complaint, and it's not something that any other group has to put up with. I've never lived in a town that if the lid was up, they did not pick up the trash. But these guys will not change that because they believe that this council set a policy and they will not go against that.
Is that something we voted on that's like set in stone, that's like an ordinance?
There's nothing in the ordinance.
It was just,
It's just a resolution that we gave them.
I don't even think it was a resolution, it was just a copy of these
His guidelines.
His guidelines.
so
Well,
let's,
and that's for COVID too, you know.
We have a copy of the guidelines for all the council members, and let's look at it at our next meeting. You can recommend some changes, we each can, recommend our changes.
If that's the one thing that we can fix this right now, we can alleviate this problem for the town right now. We can look at the other policies, the other rules and guidelines later if we like, but if a private company can handle this, I think we should be open. Do we need to make a motion and a vote?
So would you make a motion on? No, we
Well, I don't know if we need to.
Keeping our
I'm asking.
sanitation.
We are, but they're talking about the lid, you're talking about the lid.
I don't have a problem changing the policy, I just would like to see something in writing so I know what it's gonna say.
If you've got a list of the guidelines that's been provided to the employees of what not to accept, if you could forward that to us, and we can look at it between now and the next council
So
meeting.
if the lid is open at all, they just drive right by. They kind of, I'm gonna leave it at that. They just drive right by if the lid is open. I've been told that part of the reason is that water gets in there and it fills up and makes it look very heavy. But, because we had the situation just recently, and they have the ability, and we talked about it today, they drill down at the bottom and let it empty all out, and once it empties all out, then they'll put it on the hydraulic lift and lift it up. Because if it's completely filled with water, the hydraulic lift will not lift it up.
Ooh, I don't know if that's a good idea. Then you got practice in the trash can bringing down your street.
There was, I spent a while picking up trash, I don't know how many days. I picked up a lot of cans with that truck that were, I never thought I'd ever pick up. I mean, it is difficult. There was one at the post office up here that had newspaper phone books up there, phone books and hypodermic needles. And, the truck would not pick it up, absolutely would not pick it up. Depends on what's in it, of course. But it was mainly because the lid had just been left open for months and months.
The question is, do we want to fix this problem? Because, it seems like this is
Well,
something that should
I
take.
think we can fix it, like, Mr. Brackett said, orders for things will be taken care of next month. Let us look at what we got, in place, and then we'll go from there. And I think we can solve that.
Can you also include like a proposed new rule for that? Because obviously there has to be some proposed rewriting.
There's nothing, the problem is there's nothing in what we currently send out to them that says if the lid is not closed, we will not pick it up. That is not stated in there. The problem is there was an old set of guidelines that was done 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that is not used anymore. But because it was on that set of guidelines a long time ago, which is not what we use now, that is still what the guys do.
It was more of a verbal thing.
No,
It is, like I said, it's not an ordinance, and it was not a resolution. It was just the conversation that this council had, and so because of that, that's.
Have you talked
If you have that list,
I can see the list, it's on the website.
yeah.
Does anybody have a problem with allowing the cans to be open for a period of time and then our administrator making a visit to the house saying we need to purchase another can if they continue to stay open? It's the same, similar to Spartanburg. Does anybody have a problem with that?
No.
Okay, let's make it really easy. This is a policy. Okay, this is a town employee policy. He changes policies, not us. So if you'd like to change that policy, I think
The policy is done by council.
it's an employee policy. It doesn't actually say anything in that policy manual.
We can agree to empower you to do that.
If you can empower me to say that the lid can be opened and they'll still pick it up, then we're good to go. Because they listen to these council
but
meetings.
did you come to, how far can the lid be open? Can it be open all the way like this, with trash packed up?
What-
Can it be open here, can it be open here? Did you get into that?
So the conversation that I had with our driver is this.
No, so how far can it be open?
So the conversation I've had with the driver is that it is, if he sees this, If he sees the same house over and over again being over full, then we would have to we would go out there and say,
What we're going to do, I'd like to, I can make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we empower you to do that as an administrator. You come back with us next thing and tell us what you decided.
okay.
I'll second that.
I say,
Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? All right. Consider establishing public works department.
This is an ordinance to establish a public works department in the town of Pacolet and to provide for its activities, functions, and operations. This would be the first reading of this. If you decide to move forward with this would be to collect residential garbage, trash, and rubbish, which the town already does, mow and maintain public right-of-ways. The whole reason of this is if council decided to go to having an in-house landscaping and public works, should that time arise with the next budget, you would be able to. When Jeff Shafter was here with the Municipal Association of South Carolina, by just putting stuff in the budget does not allow us to be able to do that. We'd actually formally have to pass the approval of having a public works department.
Are there any, once we establish the public works department, is there anything that we need to be focused on as far as like requirements from emergencies, 911, or like a tree falls across the road, or does public works required to go get it right then, or like what happens?
They would not be, however, we could set it up so that they could be on call to do that.
They would not be required to do that.
As far as I know, currently the fire department currently takes care of that.
Because we don't have a public works department, right? Like, does the fire department cut the trees everywhere, or? That's one of my, there's many concerns. I don't have a problem with it, I just want to make sure that we're identifying all the things that we would be required to do once we say we have a public works department. Right now, we have a sanitation department, we sub out our landscape.
Right.
If we have a public works department, what all will we be required to do moving forward from that point?
It is just basically, it's so that you have a public works department. You're pretty much already having a public works department, but now you actually officially will have it in your ordinance that you have.
Can you do the research to find out from my comfort level that we won't have any more requirements or anything of that sort? Even something like I said, the tree falls down and we're required to do that. This is a very small ordinance that establishes a large department within the town. I think there should be more. Is there going to be, like policies and procedures of them? Is there going to you see what I'm saying? I just feel like there should.
What you have is what was provided by the Municipal Association of South Carolina in terms of what is required for us to have our public works department.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that there's nothing that, is going to come back later and go, hey, by the way, we're going to have to do this.
Would you be okay with approving the first reading, and then I can look up that information, and so you have that before the next reading, so we're not having another month go by?
Let's do that because we're getting into a couple months away from budget season. We need to have this in place. We tried to add this to the budget last year. I don't know if we needed this ordinance, but it kind of got shot down. But I talked to Travis about it. He doesn't see an issue. He likes the idea. He's totally on board. He sees the need for it. And he's on the ground every day doing this stuff. So obviously the town needs plenty of cleanup, plenty of beautification, plenty of maintenance. So I don't see how we wouldn't want this. As far as the details, maybe we need a few, but I'd like to make a motion that we approve the first reading of this.
I might be able to have the opportunity to take more time to look and research this. I've just been given this just tonight and asked to pass it as a first reading. I think it's very unfair to ask of me to look at this and say, yes, okay, when I need to educate myself on, I'm not fully educated on this, for me to make a knowledgeable decision.
Yeah, that's a good point. I understand where you're coming from there. Again, we talked about this last May, June. So it's not like completely new. I do understand you have questions, and we've got a month to kind of get those together. But this isn't like anything radical, Public Works Department.
I don't, you didn't go into any kind of depth.
To establish this, how many readings would have to go to? Two?
Even if you pass it tonight, it doesn't go into that.
And what's the hurry that we do it anyway? I mean,
The hurry would be that you've got a budget season coming up ASAP.
and when is that?
Budget season starts now.
Has to be passed by June.
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, June, well, surely I know we could have a decision by then, but I'm just saying, I would like more time to educate myself on this.
Well, we don't want to not give you time. It's just that we've got our comp master plan coming up. We're gonna have really packed agendas. Like we're going into a very exciting time. I would like to get what I consider like an easy win for the town out of the way. So we're prepared for when that plan's done, and then also budgeting. If you find something you totally hate or something that doesn't work, you've got at least 30 days to bring that
It
to.
doesn't say I do or don't. This is the opportunity. This was given to me tonight. As a council member, I'd like to look at it, research it on my own so I can make an educated understanding of what this is, and I understand this.
This was actually in a week ago.
Okay. You got a motion? What?
Yeah, I've got a motion to approve it.
Okay. Motion made to approve it, the first reading. Need a second?
I second it.
Motion made and seconded to, for the first reading of the ordinance, establish Public Works Department. Any questions, any more questions, any more comments?
I think regardless if approved or not, we have an ordinance committee, so
Yeah.
we need to look at it ourselves.
Right.
Members of the ordinance committee and find out, if there's anything, like I said, I'd like some information.
Well, we can do that, in the meantime, right? Before another reading. Okay, any other questions, one comment? All in favor? All opposed? Moving on, consider both ways pickup day.
Yes, this is something that I think the town has been wanting. We're limited in terms of what is picked up by the crew that goes around. This has been recommended by several people in the past, and now putting it on the agenda. I've gotten a preliminary quote. I'm still waiting to hear back from a couple other people in there. Spartan Waste for a 30-yard container will cost $345 for a 30-yard container. To come out, plus tipping fees. What I'm proposing on this is a Saturday of your choice. We will go out there and have staff or myself or someone making sure that only residents are bringing bulk items. We can either do it down the flats, or we can do it down at the golf room. But it's an opportunity that residents can drop off bulk items. We'll have a list of things they cannot drop off because the landfill doesn't allow it. But we can have a list of what they can provide. They can bring it down to wherever we are located, and then dump it off. It goes in the container, and it gets gone.
Who's doing the dumpsters?
The dumpster, I reached out to both Meridian and to Spartan Waste. And I haven't gotten anything back from Meridian, but Spartan Waste gave me a $150 delivery charge per roll-off, $195 for the hauling fee per roll-off. Tipping fees, they don't know because that's based on landfill, but it's for a 30-yard container. I'm recommending that we do 3. I know that sounds like a lot. I reached out to Steve Bolin from Cowpens. they do a bulk waste pickup, and they go pick up everything from every different location in the homes. And he says when they do that, they go through, and I kid you not, 25 40-yard containers.
Yeah, you said 3, I was like, what?
And so, but he said if you do it at one location and where people actually have to deliver it down there, he said you'll have a lot less.
We had this one time before, and I can't remember, Meisner was mayor at the time, and the county, I believe, the county office, down here. And I think the issue was overfilling, and there was nobody there to,
I think some of the fire department did it.
believe so. Yes.
I would be down there, if any of y'all wanted to come down there.
I'll volunteer.
We would offer our current sanitation crew overtime if they wanted to come down there. And then monitor. What I'll end up doing is coming down there with a computer and verifying that it's only for residents. So if someone comes in from outside of town pack, that they would not be allowed to dump their
Do
stuff.
you have a value for us to approve, or?
The value on here is if we did 3 containers, it'd be $1,035 for this plus tipping fees in there.
I make a motion to approve recommendations from the administrator for 3 containers.
You have a date in mind?
Can we up that?
I think we'll win.
Mr.
You were thinking.
If you're concerned about not having enough, you wanna add what you recommend?
We have more than one.
His recommendation.
We have 10.
I think it's a good idea to have some dumpsters. I'm okay if you want to say 3, and then
And just-
if you think by 10 o'clock you can get 3 more, that's fine. Better than me.
And it may be something
I
that,
approve values.
depending on how, if this is done the first time, it fills up quick, then the next time we do that, we add a lot more.
Right.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the dumpster, pickup, our meeting date, April. If anybody has problems someday in April, from Saturday in April,
One thing that I've got, if you've got later on down on section F, it says consider establishing a volunteer spring cleanup day with Key Point Spartanburg Beautiful. That was what was done last year. We did it at the fire department. That was done on the 3rd Saturday in April. And I'm recommending to do that again on that same date, if y'all are okay with that. I know I'm skipping ahead. But
we don't want to interfere with that.
we wouldn't want to interfere with that.
Okay.
If you like, I can just figure out a day that works best, and I can send you all a couple options, and we can go from there.
That sounds good.
Approving the funds,
Yeah.
that's fine. Picking the date.
Yeah. Okay, motion made and seconded to, approve the dumpster. Any questions? All in favor? All against? D.
Consider amending the September 1st, 2022 council meeting minutes. Went back and looked at some of the video that we had for that particular meeting, as well as some recommendations from council, and made updates to the September 1st, 2022 based on recommendations from our attorney.
I make a motion we approve September 1st, 2022 updated minutes.
What is being updated?
The lawyer recommended, our lawyer, Mr. Frost.
Section 3, code enforcement.
What particularly is being updated within it?
The main thing is that the approval of the RCI contract. That it was not just code enforcement.
Did we discuss the planning commission? Did we discuss building permits?
Building permits were discussed during that time. And there was a motion made by a council member to approve the contract with RCI.
For code enforcement?
That was not what was said.
The page I have doesn't have that.
It's on the back of the previous page.
Go back to one.
So what you've got written in here is what you want to change it to?
That's correct.
The only, what I've noticed the difference between there and what I heard on the screen was, I made a motion to pursue the contract. I made a motion to pursue the contract with RCI. I said, Mr. Camby said, motion made to pursue RCI as code enforcement. Farmer Green, I second that motion. Camby, motion made to second. Any questions? Before the council voted, Patrick interjected and said the part of code enforcement was making sure the planning commission board zoning appeals were in place in conjunction with this. Camby, you heard that. Motion seconded. Any other questions? Once all involved with the planning and appeals commission explain the process, what's going to happen. Patrick explains members will be appointed by council and go to zoning to be trained. Camby, any other questions, comments, all in favor? All opposed, all voted in favor of the motion to pursue RCI for code enforcement.
There was no contract for just code enforcement.
I never received the contract.
According to the minutes of the July 2022 council meeting, that was actually before I came here, when Mr. Eubanks was here, you approved minutes stating that the proposals were all given to council members. Also, all council members were given actual presentations by both groups.
Proposals, yes, I agree. We had proposals by CCI and RCI. On the agenda for that day, the agenda item was code enforcement.
Because I remember that because that's when Chris Harris resigned and went to another job. And because I know, I was just wanting to replace just him and just have the code enforcement. Yeah, Harper, sorry, yeah. So nowhere did we discuss really.
We did actually, just before, 2.5 minutes prior to that motion, there was a discussion of the fees for permitting, the 20% that the town receives, and went through the entire spiel about how the town gets no revenue, we use the county, all of the permitting and the fee schedule for the, well, not the entire fee schedule, but the costs for building and permitting was all discussed in that section. Now, Mr. Camby Mayor Camby may have not repeated the actual motion word for word, but it's the motion that's made that matters.
We're talking about changing minutes.
And that's what we voted on. Even now, when we make a motion, we say what that motion is, and that's what we voted on.
Mr. Wright made the motion to approve a contract. Now, if he hadn't seen the contract, I wasn't here for that, that's concerning, but he made the motion to approve the contract.
Right, there's no code enforcement.
Well, he didn't say that, just said the contract.
You said the contract was just for code enforcement?
I'm gonna go back and look on it, because I don't remember getting a contract that included, building permit fees and all that stuff in it.
There weren't building permit fees. What was on there was the 80-20 on there in terms of 80% would be going to RCI and 20% would be going to the town of Pacolet.
And then I may have understood if it wasn't exactly said that was for code enforcement, because I was nowhere thinking about building permits and fees and schedules and all that stuff.
All I'm asking is for what was actually said based on the video to go into the record. That's all I'm asking for.
And maybe we all need to look at the video together, so we can all understand together, because we're all looking and listening, picking up different things. So maybe perhaps we should all look at it together before changing the minutes.
And I've already watched it 4 times.
So do you want to watch the video and then get back with us? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think we all should watch it, and not just me, but so everybody is clear as to what the video says, not just me.
Do we need to table this approval at the next meeting?
It's up to y'all if y'all want to table it,
Yeah, because, I mean,
or you can vote to approve it.
Watch some of it, but not all of it. We all need to see what it says and then inform.
decision.
We had a motion to approve it, but I don't know if it was second. No second. I'll make a motion to table this till next meeting, give everybody a chance to review this and have peace of mind of what they're making a decision on.
Second. Motion made, second, table. Any questions? All in favor? All right, moving on. Resolution for town checks to have 120 day expiration.
This comes from, directly from Steve Blake. Had a meeting with the Finance Committee, I believe at the last council meeting, and made the recommendation that we have an expiration for our checks. There are currently some checks that are old, and because of the fact that we don't have a policy in place, if a check is lost or stolen, we have not been voiding those checks. We don't know if it's lost or stolen. And so what he has asked, this is directly the language that he's asked for us to be here. Let me just read it. Whereas the town of Pacolet writes checks to many vendors, employees, contractors throughout the year that are either get lost, misplaced, or forgotten about, and whereas the town of Pacolet must keep a record of all checks that haven't been cleared, now therefore be it resolved that the town council of the town of Pacolet hereby, one, agrees to institute a check expiration date of 120 days from the date of issuance. This expiration date of 120 days will be for all checks issued after the passage of this resolution. Any checks written prior to the passage of this resolution will be kept until cleared. 2, any outstanding checks of the town's bank accounts that have not been cleared after 180 days will be removed from the outstanding checks list and held as a liability of the town until the SG laws take effect.
This was discussion with the finance committee. So we met with Mr. Blake. He showed us a list of checks that hadn't been cleared. So we recommended 120 days, which is 3 months to 4 months to finally deposit checks.
We need a motion to approve
Make
this.
a motion, we approve the resolution on the 120 days check expiration policy.
Motion made to approve. Second. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? Consider the town volunteer back. Is that the third week? You said the
Third Saturday, which would be April 20th. I just want to make sure that y'all are okay with doing that again this year and partnering with Keep One Spartanburg.
You actually need a vote on that?
I don't need a vote as long as the consensus.
Fire department, where we're gonna have it.
We could have it with the fire department again, that's up to them, or if we have another location, you just let me know what you want to do.
I suggest discuss it with the fire department, if they're okay with it, it'll work.
And if not, get back with it with location. All right, moving on. Consider amending business license ordinance of the town back to update the class schedule and required by Act 176 of 2020.
This is something that is done every other year and should have been done in 2023. We just recently found out about it. Actually, our new assistant town clerk has been talking with other business license clerks in the state, and we learned this, and we reached out to them, and they said we need to approve this ASAP. This comes directly from the Municipal Association of South Carolina. You all approved this back in October of 2021 when Ms. Allie Gant was here, and it's required that it's done every 2 years. And it's just updating the South Carolina business tax standardization is part of that. It's done every 2 years.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any other questions? All in favor? Opposed? Consider first reading of the ordinance, restricted truck traffic on Sauls Creek and Montgomery Avenue, ordinance 2024-02.
Give you a little bit of an update on this. So with conversations with Brandon Wilson, who is the administrator for our district for DOT, and I say we, the chief and I and him went through several different scenarios of what we'd like. This was not the top scenario, but it gets us in that direction. The end scenario that we would like to see happen is that truck traffic leaves the traffic circle, goes up Sunny Acres Road, continues out Sunny Acres Road, all the way out to West Main Street, and eventually out to 176. And that is the truck route, so it stays off of 150. Because if you ever see trucks trying to turn off of 150 onto 9 or 9 onto 150, there's 2 utility poles that cause problems there.
Yeah.
However, the higher ups down in Columbia are not ready to close off 150 for trucks yet, and they're trying to get us to try this route first. What has happened, and you may have seen them out here, is there's big, large signs that direct people down Victor Park. It has changed drastically the amount of trucks that are coming down Stone and Montgomery, but we still have some like Dollar General who are still coming down through this area. We can pass an ordinance like this one. We'll have to have 2 readings on here. I've sent the ordinance over to DOT. They are reviewing it to approve. This has not been approved by them yet, but this was directly taken from what Sumter, South Carolina used. And so I'm hoping, and I'm not going to bring it to you for a second reading until I get the approval from the DOT. But this is the next step, is to restrict truck traffic so no trucks can go on Stone and Montgomery. We'll see how that goes. And then the next thing would be to eventually move it over to Sunny Acres, but I have to work through the DOT process.
Well, you need to put something in there for example, in public weather, and that hillside is no longer accessible. You can't drive up down. Well, there need to be a provision in there that speaks about that particular route that's closed down.
I can add that as a number 5 item on there for ice and sleet and snow.
Suggest another route completely.
I think, our police are pretty confident, they just don't have to enforce that, so they'll be aware.
The way it works with this is the town can pass an ordinance, but if DOT doesn't approve the ordinance as a permit, it doesn't mean anything. Once they approve the ordinance, they'll actually put signs at the entry points on there that say no trucks. And once those are there, the police department can enforce. But I'll add a section on there for ice and snow and issues on
That's low.
Hotel Hill.
I don't want to park on the circle.
You can add that.
Like that area too.
What's that?
You can add that.
I'm gonna add that on there, but as long as you're okay with that amendment on there, I'll have that updated between now and the next council meeting, or the next reading, and I'll also have the approval from DOT.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading ordinance restrict truck traffic.
With that amendment from,
With that.
Amendment.
I second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the first reading of the ordinance to restrict truck traffic on Stone Street and Montgomery Avenue. Any questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. You bring the amendment.
I just put this on here. I've been talking to Patrick about different events. He's got some ideas, I've got some ideas. I did an event for the town last spring, for the town's birthday party. The intent was not that I continue to do that. I'm hoping the town takes that over. Seems like a good thing for the town to do. It's kind of the perfect time of year. There's been those on council that were not happy with me doing that event, so I'm just gonna preemptively say if there's any issues with, because of location of my business, if I need to be closed that day, donate proceeds to charity, provide free coffee, I'm willing to do that. I think the important thing is that the town celebrates his birthday, celebrates it in the location of where the town was originally incorporated. We've got the Riverfest down at this end. I would like to see an event down in the District 3, District 2, District 4 area. So I'd love it to be in that field area around the old train station. But what's important is we find some events that are at that end, that are in spring. We should also maybe do a midsummer event, paddle Pacolet, or revive Elaine Harris's idea. But basically, I think we could do this event, but it'd be nice if the town endorsed it and funded it. And Patrick seems to think for $5,000 we can get something started and grow from there, see how it goes.
I'm already planning to do, and this will be in addition to, but I just wanted to let you know, Mayor Ned Camby donated a screen and projector for a movie night. And so we're planning to do that in the spring, early summertime already. But there have been requests both on Facebook and also in the Plan Pacolet requests on there to have additional events. Springtime event, summer event, not just have the River Fest. We now have 501c3, so that's a possibility to be done. One event that I'd like to bring back is Elaine Harris had the Paddle the Pacolet event, and then we could partner with the ladies who have the kayak business up in Clifton and do a kayak trip that drops in either at Clifton or at Lawson Sport. There could also be a float trip in terms of air tubes. Could be someone who does like a history lesson along the way. And then once you get out, there can be activities and music playing and crafts and vendors and all that kind of stuff going on. But it's a great community, and one of the things that I always, one of my pet peeves is you never see the river until you cross the bridge. And I'd like to start doing more things on the river and getting more activity out of the river.
The first, to have something in the spring and to have it in the location of in behind Hardee's or in that area, is that something that we need to get a release or permission from Southern Railroad?
The event that Mr. Williams had done in the past is just closing down the street, West Main Street up there. And I think if you're between closing from 150 down to Memorial would be plenty of room. We may need to ask Norfolk Southern. There is a lot, a vacant lot that's down there that's owned by Norfolk Southern, and asking them if we would use that, and we don't give them a hold harmless liability thing. But if it's mainly on the road, there should be an issue out there.
We also leased those buildings, correct?
We released that one.
We lease the area around the train, but then also the one on the water you're talking about, underneath the big tree, that's leased by the contractor.
I made a motion that we fund such an event with starting out at 5,000. And let Patrick worry about making it wonderful.
What's that? I can form a committee and we can run it through the Pacolet thread. And if y'all want to be on there, I mean, like I'm just trying to do something that the community wants to see more activities and not just Riverfest. You know, and I think it's been great to be able to offer the movies event in the spring, summertime. I think that's going to be really great to see. But then adding something else, either doing the birthday party and call it whatever you want to call it. And potentially having an event in the summertime, revitalizing Elaine's Paddle Pacolet event, I think would be worthwhile.
Now, what time frame is the celebration of the birth or birthday of Pacolet?
It's entirely up to whatever the committee would decide on there.
Yes.
One of the things that we've had with the Riverfest is it kind of has to be done by 6 o'clock because people stop kind of hanging around. But it will be up to the committee to decide if it's going to be an afternoon or an evening event.
What time of the year?
Oh, time of the year. The birthday for the town of Pacolet is May 6th, I believe.
Which is a Monday this year. I mean, it could fall on May 4th or. I'd actually like to make a motion that we fund the birthday celebration, whatever we call it, and also a Paddle Pacolet event midsummer, depending on schedules. I think with the 5,000 per event be plenty to start?
How much money do we have in hospitality and events?
You've got a little over $80,000 that's in hospitality.
How much?
A little over $80,000 that's in hospitality.
We got plenty to do these events if we needed to.
And it's also in LGIP, so it gets, it's probably another 5 or 10,000 in and out. Plus the town picks up another $20,000.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, there's just nothing, there's no proposal, there's no information, there's nothing.
I get it, and it's got to start with something, and if the town's willing to put 5,000 towards both those, and then council can also sit on those committees, and I can draft up budgets and plans and all that kind of stuff in there. But at least it kind of gets a start in that direction. Now, it can be, it's $5,000, but we want to kind of see a plan kind of executed, or you want to be a part of that group, or whatever you want to do. At the end of the day, I just want to try to see something for the community to enjoy.
Are we saying 5,000 for each? Or
Yes.
5,000? Okay.
And that would be $5,000 seed money on there. Ideally, like for instance, the Riverfest. Y'all used to give a lot more money to the Riverfest. This past year, you gave $4,000 and the event made $2,000. I'm trying to get to the point with all of your events that they're what I call cost neutral. They don't cost the town anything. And eventually get to the point that the town never puts any money. They just put police and my time towards the events.
With this, this suggestion, I have no problem looking at, establishing a group to put something together for first weekend in May, and maybe say the third weekend in June. See if that's something that's available, and bring something back to us from a cost standpoint. I have no problem with that. If that needs to be put into a motion, I mean, you already have a motion.
I've got a motion in place. I think the idea is to create a committee that would then disperse those funds. And if you want to be on that, then
For spring, or you want to do the whole community?
I think the spring event and the midsummer, whether it's back under something else.
Okay.
So we have one for each season.
Okay, you heard the motion to fund, 2 events.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded.
I want to make sure what we're saying. We're going to put $10,000 towards 2 events, 5,000 each.
Correct. And it would be, if you're okay with this, because it makes sense that it would run to the Pacolet thread, because a lot of times the 501c3 has some benefits for sponsorships and stuff.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Consider creating a building, we took up that last, meeting, building permit and code enforcement committee. Y'all have time to discuss it, you bring up somebody and now's the time to do it.
I think, based on our discussion last time, in the discussion with Mr. Frost, that this is something that we need to pursue, and based on the input that we had at our last meeting, I think this is just my opinion, but Mr. Wright, Ms. Sexton, and Mr. Williams here would be 3 good ones. To work that out and bring any changes to us that we need to look at. Now, I haven't discussed it with the 3 of those, but I recommended at the last meeting that we consider it, and they have some information that they had already did research on, and I appreciate that from a time standpoint.
Any other, nominations or anything, or you, do y'all agree with that?
I'm fine.
I'm fine. Okay. So, we need to vote on it or anything like that? No vote on it, I make a committee, we had to vote.
You need to vote to form the committee, and then to nominate those 3 on there.
Need a motion to form the committee.
All right, I'll make a motion to form the committee.
I second it.
Motion made and seconded to form the committee. All in favor? All right. And
Motion to approve the
yeah.
All right. I suggested, recommended 3 members. All 3 accepted. I make a motion that we approve those members.
You say, motion made and seconded to approve Mr. Wright as section and Mr. Williams as committee members. Any questions? All in favor? Okay. Comments, sir?
It's okay. Just to kind of say, is it okay if you briefly go over this and then submit all of this to the meeting notice?
Yes, I'm gonna try to I'm trying to skip some stuff that doesn't necessarily need to be on here.
Yeah.
The one thing that has come up, I wanted to bring it up at your last meeting, but some stormwater issues, one on Cameron Street. Mr. Wright, I think you're familiar with this, but at 111 Cameron Street itself, there was some paving that was done years ago, and when they did that paving, it covered up several of the drains that are on that street. It's now causing a stormwater issue, especially for the property at 111 Cameron Street, where water is just dumping into their property and flooding their basement down there.
Destroyed their wall.
Yeah. It's not a good situation. It's good the fact that we're currently looking at a master plan of all stormwater throughout the entire city. It's bad that we haven't done this already, because this hopefully would have been fixed to that point.
I want to say, the first time this happened, they paid for it themselves to fix it. And it happened again 6 months later.
And since we had that big rainstorm that came through, it was pretty devastating for them. I was wondering if, I've already reached out to Tim Schubert, who is the stormwater director for Spartanburg County, and trying to get some ideas of what to do now on trying to prevent this. I'd also like your permission to reach out to Summit Engineering and to get a cost estimate of what he could propose to kind of fix this sort of thing. Or you can say, let's just wait till we finish the master plan, the master plan of the stormwater. I need to know, because these people are kind of in a desperate situation where it just constantly gets flooded and they're not going to continue to repair things in their basement if it continues to get flooded.
Let's go ahead and fix the problem.
I can reach out to some engineering and kind of get an evaluation, and I'll bring that to you all at the next council meeting. I do want to read, well, I think a lot of this has already been stated. This next section here, it can just stay in the minutes, but it's basically, we met with RCI and Shannon Homes, and they provided a letter that y'all have all the copy on there. And I believe Mr. Blackwell repeated a lot of the stuff on there. But I really felt good after that meeting with them. They're going to fix a lot of issues that were concerns, especially for Mr. Lee and Mr. Camby out in that particular area. I'm going to skip over some stuff. Ms. Sexton, the cameras, as you can see, have been installed and are operational in Town Hall. We have one last camera that will be installed in the hallway once the wall is put in place. And then Mr. Camby and his crew have volunteered to come out tomorrow and help us reposition some of those cameras. So, ma'am, there's one right there.
This one here?
That's the one there. And then there are 5 around the outside of the building. And then there will be another one right inside there once that wall goes in place. They'll be pointed straight down, so we'll see whoever is at the window on both sides.
So there's currently not one.
There's currently not one there now, and I didn't want them to go ahead and put it in, because then they're going to be taking it back out once that wall goes in place. But if you want to go ahead and have one right there that folks go straight down, then the problem is no one's going to be meeting there.
Well, I think that's where we need security there as well now. I mean, I don't know why we need to wait until something gets done, because.
So if we put it in the back, and then the wall goes in place, then it's not going to matter. Because all of the interaction will be right here in this hallway, not back.
So will it be a big deal to move it? Because
So
there's
if you want, we can go ahead and have it installed now, and then once everything gets completed, have it moved and put
Yeah,
back right
that's
here.
gonna be some time.
Are we going to install more cameras later?
We can, if you like. What additional areas would you like cameras in?
I mean, I think that was our main concern, is because it's where the transactions take place back here, and we got them all out here. I think we need one back there where transactions.
That's why you got it ready to go in. You had to put it in, you know.
So we're gonna get that in.
If y'all would like to have the one back there in the back that focuses where the transactions are currently going on, and then once the wall goes in place, we'll move it back and we'll put it right here.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Skip some stuff in here. This is the craziest thing that I've been called about, but I want y'all to know about this. I was contacted by someone who wants to sell a property to the town of Pacolet. There's a property that's 248 square feet. It is located near the corner of Coleman, which should be Coleman Circle and Sunset Drive. It is in the parking lot of the T.W. Edwards Center near the picnic tables. The parcel, I've got the parcel on there. They were wondering if the town of Pacolet wants to buy it. The reason being is the town of Pacolet owns the T.W. Edwards Center lot that's out there and the property that's across the street. There is some odd little piece that's landlocked within property of the town. It may have been an old sign. I don't know what it is, but it's there. And the property owner is trying to get rid of some of their properties, and the developer is interested in buying it so that the town of Pacolet would buy it from him. But it's currently on the tax digest at $20,000, which I believe, well, anyway, $20,000 for a 248 square foot property. I didn't know how y'all, I have no interest, I don't think the town should have any interest in this. I mean, if they wanted to donate it to the town potentially would take it. But I don't see the town, A, spending $20,000 on a 248 square foot piece of property. It may be worthwhile that y'all go home and look on the GIS map and see where this property is. Or if you like, I can show this to you on there. It's just some random little piece of property that's 248 square feet that's in the middle of the parking lot over at the T.W. Edwards Center.
Would it be impacted, would that center would it be impacted in any kind of way if the developer or somebody else did buy it?
If they bought it on there, I don't believe they could not build a house on there. I don't think they would build a sign on there. There's very limited things they could do on that small little tract of property on there.
I think maybe an idea of what 248 square feet is.
Just test it.
I think about where y'all are sitting right there.
I can visualize it, but I just.
I don't think we need to pay $20,000.
I don't think you need to pay anything for it, that's my opinion. If someone wants to donate it to the town, they can. I'm gonna let him, if he wants to put something out there in terms of a sale price, I'll bring that to you at the next council. Y'all can read through the section on the DOT encroachment, but that's being worked on right now. The location, the owner of the property, DOT is approving us to go ahead and move forward, but I need to give them a plan. So if y'all are okay with me going and seeking someone to create a plan or drawing of that location to be able to submit to them, I'm gonna go ahead and pursue that. We'll be codifying all of the town ordinances this year, and so there are some that are online, that some are not in the book, and that'll be done. This is one thing, number 12, I think is important. I would like the recommendation from council to consider making changes to the zoning ordinance. The town is currently contracting out with the Appalachian Council of Governments to update the zoning ordinance. However, one thing is coming up on a very regular basis, and that is that if someone subdivides a property within neighborhood edge or neighborhood general, the largest tract size they can use is 12,000 square feet or 10,000 square feet. Most of those areas do not have sewer, and they need to be much larger to get a septic tank on there. I would like for y'all to send this back to the Planning Commission and have them discuss some recommendations to bring to y'all. Once they do that, we y'all have 2 readings to change that. But I would like the recommendation that goes to Because I don't want this to wait till the zoning ordinance is updated, because that could be another year until that's done, after everything else is going on. The other thing, since Mr. Burrell brought up something tonight, is the size of lots and setbacks. That could fix the issues that we're having up here in terms of the historic district, so that you can only put one house on those vacant lots, not two houses. So I'm recommending that you request the Planning Commission to review setbacks in the village area, which is this over here, and also to review the property lot sizes and neighborhood edge and the neighborhood general.
What, I don't know, what is neighborhood edge in
These are two different zonings that are in the town of Pacolet where residential properties residents can be located.
So what does that mean?
That means that if you own a tract of land in that area, and you want to, say it's 10 acres, and you want to divide it in half, 5 acres and 5 acres, to do two homes, I have to deny that. Because your zoning ordinance states that the largest tract size that you can have for a single family lot is 10,000 square feet.
So, okay, I understand that, so what's the neighborhood edge? What?
Neighborhood edge is a zoning district, just like neighborhood general is a zoning district where homes are located, where it's residential. It's two different types of residential for the town of Pacolet.
I got that,
It's a little closer to like a buffer between.
Yeah, neighborhood edge is kind of a transitionary from residential into commercial, but it's just what it's called.
okay, well, see, I don't know that. So what's the neighborhood general?
It is a zoning district where most of the homes in Pacolet are located.
So like my district is neighborhood general.
Actually, yours is village.
Yeah, but like, so dog.
We're starting making lists.
That would all be neighborhood general.
My neighborhood, like a neighborhood.
Yours
general.
is neighborhood general.
So this is like a neighborhood that butts up to a business, is a neighborhood.
Yeah, so like where cold storage,
Yeah.
that's commercial, and houses right behind that are considered neighborhood edge.
Okay,
Up to like, you know, the ones right there, up to more structure.
okay, I just didn't understand the term.
So what you're suggesting is that we have a zoning committee,
What I'm suggesting is the planning commission.
planning.
This is becoming a regular occurrence, that it's stopping growth from happening in the town, and it doesn't make sense. You can't divide up your lot, because the only way you divide it up is the most you can have is 10,000 square feet, and if you live in an area that doesn't have sewer, you can't do that.
You can't put
And
in.
so what has happened before is this council approved waiving a variance fee for someone to go through this process because we didn't think it was fair. So I'm recommending that y'all send this to the planning commission to review this and make recommendations and bring it back to you. Then you'll have 2 readings to approve it. And I'm suggesting that y'all go ahead and do this now instead of waiting until the zoning ordinance gets approved, because I think you're gonna have a lot more of these come up.
I think that's a great idea.
You got a vote on it, or?
I need a motion
Okay.
for this to be sent to the planning commission.
I'll make a motion. Either one. Make a motion that goes.
Okay. Made the motion second to approve that. Any other questions? All in favor? All opposed?
That's it. If y'all look at that last thing on there, I'm trying to work with Brad Sauls. I'm trying to figure out a way for the town of Pacolet to provide grants for residential properties in the Mill Village here to support the historic district. You've probably heard of facade grants in downtown areas. We're trying to figure out the legality of being able to provide those in residential areas to protect these historic homes. So I'll have more information to provide you at another time.
Black.
Thank you, sir.
And again, we had 25 code enforcement for the month of December. Total permit, plan review, reinspection fees collected, $1,851.50. Conducted a total of 15 inspections and posted 3 new stop work orders. Kind of a slow month. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions, comments? Thank you, Mr. Michael.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, council. It's good to see everybody. The month of January, we had 179 calls for service, 1,024 officer-initiated events. And the main thing I want to cover with you tonight is our index crime stat reporting. You should have an attachment to the back of your packet here. These go back to 2019, so we wanted several years of comparison. And we don't need to break down every part of it. The way SLED is the way the FBI track these stats while they're looking at either the top half of your page, and I hope the folks in the audience here follow along as well. The top half of the page is related to violent crime. The bottom half of the page is associated with property crimes. Property crimes are going to be your theft, your burglary, things of that nature. Financial crimes as well. A couple of points to make here. We're talking about pretty small numbers when you're talking about the crimes that are actually tracked. We went up from 8 aggravated assaults to 11 aggravated assaults, and that significantly changed our statistics. Over a 5-year period, though, we do have a 22% increase in violent crime in town. That is significantly lower than the national average. However, I would hope in a town this size that we can maybe have a little more impact on that going forward in the future. If you look at the top right-hand corner of that chart there, over the last year, we had a 33% decrease in weapon law violations. And the year prior, there was a downward trend that had begun. There was a 57% decrease. So other than the violent crime increase over the 5-year trend, everything else we have is looking great. We're doing far better than the national average and far better than most municipalities of our size with the population we have and the law enforcement agency size we have. Over the 5-year period, we had a 6% decrease in property crimes total. And over the last year, since I became chief, we had a 74% decrease in drug offenses that occurred in our town. If you look through these stats briefly, if you have any sort of questions, I'll try to clarify them for you. I think the statistics pretty well speak for themselves. Again, we're talking about really small numbers here. We went from 8 aggravated assaults to 11, and that jumped our number up to 2023. I can tell you every one of those crimes that increased our statistics, there were arrest days, those crimes were solved, and those people were prosecuted. There's not a lot of other municipalities around that can say that. So any questions I can answer from anybody about the information you have in front of me? Or any other questions you have about anything you want to know? Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Thank you. Comment? Good job, everybody. I think appreciate everybody coming out. Second. Motion made, second, adjourned. All in favor?